Hello, my name is Issa, and today I want to talk about files in C++. So, when we work with files, the reason we work with files is because we want our data to be stored beyond, that program's runtime. So, if you close the program and reopen it, we still want to have that data that we generate in the program stored somewhere. Contrary to RAM, which is like short-term memory, storage or disk storage is long-term memory. So you can turn off the computer, it's still there. Now, when we work with files, the first thing we need to do is we need to include fstream. So fstream stands for file stream. This is similar to IO stream, input output stream. That's pretty self-explanatory. So the very first thing we need to do is create a file variable. So std. Now you can do ifstream, which is input file stream, meaning like you're taking in a file, or you can do ofstream, which is pretty much what it sounds like, output file stream. You're outputting a file. Now for now we're gonna do input file stream, and I'm gonna call this input file. So now we need a file to input because we're taking in a file. So let's make a file. So I'm gonna go to this folder. This is kind of specific to C-Line. So if you're working on a different IDE, it's probably you're gonna want to put your text file in the same directory as your CPP file. Otherwise, if you're in C-Line like I am, you'll just do it in the cmake build debug folder. And we're just gonna call this sample.txt. And that's it. And I already wrote a little something that to use, so I'm just gonna copy it. I'm copying it from my notes, so I have a little notes website if you didn't know. Link is in the description. It just has, a bunch of different topics, and the URL is matthewissa.com. In any case, so we have this text file. It's called sample.txt, and we want to interact with it. So we have this variable. This variable links this file to something we can work with in the program. And so right now, it's not linked to anything. We just have a variable. So how do we link it? Well, we link it by doing inputFile.open. So we're going to open a file. And in here, we put the file path. Now, I know that CLion works, the default file path is in this cmake build debug folder. For you, it's probably going to be where your source is, so at the root. So this is the root of the project. So either you can put it in the root, or you can make a folder and give it a file path. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, in this folder, and remember this is the cmake build debug for me, I want to get sample.txt. And yeah, you need the file extension as well. That's something I didn't know when I first did this. So now we've opened the file. So now, theoretically, we have linked this file to our variable. Like now we can work with this file. But never assume, so always do a check. So we're going to say if input file.fail. So if it doesn't open, we need to put an error. And I like to just copy this error. I like to copy this error whenever I'm working with files, just because it's, it's such a common, this is a common thing I do. I might as well just, save it. So we're printing an error message, and then we're exiting the program. So we don't continue running the program. Because if we have a bad file, we don't want to, try and write to it or read from it. Because then that's just going to cause a whole bunch of confusion down the road. So we want to nip it in the bud. So, cool. Now we have some text. We have this file. Ideally, it hasn't broken. So let's test it. No, we still proceeded. So now what we're going to do is we're going to read this file. Now, to read a file, we kind of need to know how a file works. So this is what a file looks like to us. And I actually made it, the same file just on my desktop. So this is kind of how we interact with files. But a computer does not interact in a very different way. This is what a computer sees a file as. It's just one long array of characters. So you'll see there's hello. And notice that these are new line. Like, to the computer, this is what it's actually seeing. It's not seeing a space, like a new line space, any of that. It's seeing like a new line character. And then at the very end of the file, notice we can't go down anymore unless we add new lines. And that's this end of file bit. So there's an imaginary bit, not imaginary, but like invisible bit to us that tells the computer, hey, there is no more to this file. This file is done. And that's kind of this. So if we want to read to a file, well, we can, the first thing we need to do is we need to make a string. I'm going to give it an initial value. And we want to loop until we reach the end of the file. And remember I told you about that bit? That's where this is going to come in. So we're going to use this while, and I called it input file. While input file is not the end of bit. So while we haven't gotten to the end, we're gonna do stuff. So the first thing we want to do is we want to use this thing called getLine. Now I'm going to talk about getLine later. I don't really feel like talking about it now. That's kind of beyond the scope of this video. It kind of needs its own video. And we're just gonna print this. So while it's not the end of the file, we're gonna get the line. GetLine just gets the line. So, you know, it gets hello, gets whatever. We're gonna print that variable. So we store in temp. Now we're gonna print temp. So if we run this, hello, my name is Issa. Exactly the same. So that's right. That's reading from a file. Pretty straightforward. Not too much. You can do a lot more stuff than just this. But for our example, we're just gonna leave it at that. Now the next thing that we can do is we can write to a file. So we're gonna do, so the process is gonna look very similar. So we're gonna call it OF stream for output. We want to write to a file, and we are gonna write, let's call it out file. So we want to open a file. Now we don't want to open the same file we were working in. We can, and we can change this, but that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to make a new file, and the way you make a new file is by supplying a path. So if you want to edit this file, you could say sample.txt, and now it would open this file to write. By the way, always make sure you close your files when you're done using them. So when are we done using this? We need to say input file dot close. Just, you know, when you open something, you want to close it. Now we open, so if we open this, now we can edit this, but I don't want to do that. I want to make a new file. Now you can just say, you can just make a new file by doing this. Now it doesn't exist, as you can see, but if we run this, it generates one, right? So we've opened it. Now again, we want to do a fail check. Always do a fail check. I just, you know, keep this code handy. Out file. So pretty much to this point, it looks exactly the same. Now so now what we want to do is we want to put some input in and write it out to this file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just, you know, copy this code over. I already wrote this, and we'll go over it really quickly. So we're going to get input and store in this variable called input. And I like to initialize my variables. If input is done, we're going to break out of this loop. So this loop is going to keep going. And every time we input something, it's going to send it to this file. Now let's run it, because that's going to be the best way to show it. So this is from the old stuff. So now let's say, hello, my name is Issa. And now if we look at the output.txt file, oh, we need to say done. I forgot. That's how we break out of this loop, because otherwise it just keeps going on forever. And now notice we got text in here. Now it doesn't look quite the same as this one, right? Like clearly this one isn't being new line spaced. And that's because the enter key doesn't register as a new line. Now, what's the solution? To type out the new line character? Not quite, actually. What you'll have to do is you'll have to send the new line to the file itself. So let's add a new line character to the file after the input. So now if we run this, and we say hello, and let's say done. Let's see what happens. Now notice it made a new line. If we wanna put it all on the same line, we still can do that. I say done. See, it's still on the same line. But if we want to replicate what we have here, hello, my name is Issa. We've pretty much replicated this. So that's pretty much writing to a file. I do want to talk about getLine, but in more detail in the next video. So that's probably what's going to be coming up next. Thank you so much for watching. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. Join Discord. We actually got a lot of people there. We also got games and other stuff. So it's not just, coding only. And if you want to see these notes for yourself, I do upload these with every video. So I have, pretty much every video I've made so far put here. And you can go, link it in the description. And that should be it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.